Hi, Neil here from Bridgewater Sewing Centre. Just a short video on adjustments to the 300W and the Consew 3300 series. First, we're going to adjust up the needle entrance to the feed dogs, which I've already done. In this case, the needles are going to be just to the front of the holes in the feed dog. To make this adjustment, you're going to loosen these two Allen screws here. Now make sure you keep this pushed in here when you loosen this, or else you'll get play in your needle bar. So make sure that's tight before you tighten them back up again, and you just want to move. Once you loosen these screws, you move the needles forward or backwards so that they're just to the front part of the feed dog. Okay, then next what we're going to do is set up the looper point travel. Okay, in other words, you want the points of the loopers to go by the needles in the exact same position as when it's coming forward. This is by turning the hand wheel towards me. So in other words, the looper is going by the needle right about in the middle of the scarf, and as I'm turning the hand wheel forward, when it comes back up to the needles, it's still in the same position. That can be adjusted by going over to this eccentric here. You loosen these two screws, and then loosen this screw, and then move it one way or the other so that you get it so that the looper is hitting into the scarf of the needle at the same position, front and forward, or front and back, sorry. Next, we're going to do the looper timing. To do the looper timing, you bring the line on the hand wheel to the red mark on the case of the sewing machine. Okay. At that point, the loopers should be sitting right in the scarf of the needle. If they aren't, you loosen this screw here, or this nut. Loosen it gently. You have to be careful with this because it'll break very easily. Loosen it, and then move the block forward or backwards till the points are right in the middle of the scarf. Tighten and snug that up, just snug it up for now. And then you would loosen these two screws here and move your looper one way or the other so there's no play in between the needle and the looper at that point. Without reflecting, you shouldn't be reflecting, but right square, no play in the needles, both left and right. Then you would snug these two screws up, do the same with this one. And also once you've snugged the screws up and you're happy with that, make sure these guards aren't pushing your needles neither. And once you've done that, you're all set in the timing. Next, we're going to set up the spreader points. So we're going to check the spreaders, make sure that they're pointing down, both straight down. Make sure there's no burrs on them. Clean them up a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to set that up. So the way the spreaders will work, I'm going to turn the hand wheel. Now I want to bring the spreaders in so that you're right at this point here, right when the needle has started right about there. We're going to point these down. So they're about 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to adjust it this way. Just when the needle has just started, before it has started to move back, you would adjust this screw, push this forward so that you've got roughly about 1/16 of an inch from the spreader point to the needle. Snug that up, turn the hand wheel towards you, and bring the loopers forward. And you want that spreader to be as close this way so that there's very little daylight as it's going by the looper on both sides. And as it comes back and starts to cross the back of the loopers, push it down so that they touch. Not hard, but just so that they just touch the top part of the looper, and then snug it up at that point. Recheck. Coming across, and they come back to the left and go just miss the left side of the looper, come across the top of the looper. I don't see them reflecting. So I'd be happy with that. So then I snug up the other screw. Okay, next we'll show you where the oiling points are, the main oiling points. If you look down here on this eccentric, there's a screw here. It's called the oil screw. Take that out. Drop some oil down in there. And put the screw back in. Okay, and then grab yourself something that's sharp and pointy. And we'll look right up here. And then you're going to see a bearing pointing right in there. You push that bearing in. You drop your oil on this end. You get as much in there. You can't put not enough. It'll take all kinds of oil. It's kind of hard to get in. The best thing is to have an oiler that's got a long stem on it, steel, that you can actually push in there and get the oil in behind that bearing. That would be good for that end. So that's the points on this end. Oil in there. Yeah, I'm losing a lot of oil because I don't have the proper oil for that, but you can see it is going in. And then up at the hand wheel, you get another ball bearing. Again, the same thing. The oil in there. Okay, and then we just wipe the excess off. And that's your main oiling points. Okay, and finally we'll adjust up the feed dogs. Just going to tighten them up here. I'm happy with them. The needles are centered right in this center. I'll tighten those up at that point. On. Okay, I want to check the height. You want to have them just up slightly. I'm going to adjust those up. You can adjust those from a screw right underneath here, okay, to raise or lower them. And we're going to raise them just slightly. See them. Actually, the best way to do that, I think, is what I'm going to do is loosen this nut and turn that screw down 2 turns. Sliding it back down in that screw here, reach through here with my screwdriver and snug that back up. Okay, and I can just see that they're just sticking up slightly, which I'm happy with. Now, sometimes what can happen is your feed dogs will be higher on the back and lower in the front. If that happens to be the case, you would put your machine back, loosen this Allen key right here, and then push it up or down will level out your feed dogs, and then snug it up real good and tight. I should point out before the previous adjustments are made to make sure both the bottom stitch length button and the top stitch length button match up. So in other words, I'll push this button down, keep turning my hand wheel until the button falls into a hole, and I'm pretty much lined up to the eye. Okay, let that button back up. I'll reach up at the top of this button, turn it, and it's stopping in the exact same position. So I know both my bottom stitch length and top stitch length are even. And then other adjustments that you can make after you've made this adjustment is, of course, your take-ups will change, make a difference by tipping this one way or the other, or extending it this way or that way, and have this match up to it, as well as your take-up here, up and down, but usually 3/4 to an inch from the bottom part of this guide up to the top of the fork should be in about right. Hope this video helps a bit. Thanks for watching.